Welcome to another edition of Rivals. I'm Scott Mitchell.
And I'm Jason Bach.
Oh my goodness, Rivals has arrived, and so has Jason Bach. He's been on hiatus.
Yes. Man. I've been out coaching my grandson in Chicago.
It's like, where's Waldo? Well, we found Waldo. He's right here. He's joined us. Glad to have you back, Jason.
Oh man, it's awesome to be back.
Yes,
It's so good to see you.
Yes, likewise. Okay, we have this burning question, and everyone wants to know the answer to this, and I know all of you do, and certainly we're going to talk about it today. Would you rather? Would you rather is our question today, and here is what the would you rather would be. All right, would you rather be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame or win a Super Bowl? Now, Mr. Jason over here, in fact, is that your hand?
That is my hand.
Oh my goodness, this is actually Jason's hand here.
I could be a hand model.
Little chappy there, but that's okay.
From coaching football.
So that's his 1993 Super Bowl ring with the Washington Redskins. So Jason's won a Super Bowl. I'm in the Hall of Fame, certainly not the NFL Hall of Fame, but I've been in a couple of Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
And it's not so bad.
No, the Hall of Fame's nice.
So which one would you rather have?
You know, I dreamed of doing stuff like being in the Hall of Fame, and you have great respect for it. And you'd easily say, well, man, Jason, you're not in the Hall of Fame, but you won the Super Bowl. But honestly, I know some Hall of Fame guys that didn't, go to the Super Bowl. Didn't win the Super Bowl, and they're envious of my Super Bowl. They really are. I was out talking to some of the guys, at the Bengals at our Super Bowl reunion this year, and they were all really happy for me, by the way. They're like, Buckster, man, you got to leave and go win the Super Bowl. We were so happy for you. But they're like, that's what it was about, is everybody wants that Super Bowl. From the time we're little boys and you're dreaming of playing the NFL and we finally make it, that's like the ultimate moment in football.
But everyone actually is just competitive, Jason.
Yeah.
Because see, I'm in neither.
Yeah.
So I want both of them.
Yeah.
So the guys who maybe got in the Hall of Fame and didn't win the Super Bowl, I can tell you it eats them up, and vice versa.
It absolutely does.
There's no question. Except for maybe you. You don't seem to be too bothered by it.
No, it eats. If you ask me if there's one thing that eats me up as a competitor and an athlete is, I didn't get the Pro Bowl I wanted, and I really felt I had it at least, a couple years. And there's some politics involved and stuff like that. But I wanted the Pro Bowl, and I wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. I wanted to achieve those things.
So
I'm very goal oriented, and that eats at me. It
all right.
does.
So which one do you want? You want more?
But I'd give that up for my Super Bowl.
So you'd rather have the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because when I was a tiny little boy, man, I dreamed of the Super Bowl. I remember I told you the story, maybe I haven't. And I was 6 years old, and I walked into the front room of the house in Michigan when I was a little boy, and Super Bowl IV was on. The Vikings, I still remember it, the Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. And my dad and my brother were watching it. And I came in from the snow outside, in Michigan, and I looked at that TV set, and I'd always said I was going to play football, and I had NFL films or whatever. And I stood right in front of my dad and my brother, and I pointed at that TV set, and I said, I will play there someday. And they're kind of like, yeah, now get out of the way. But I knew I was going to play in that Super Bowl someday. So that was a moment for me that I wouldn't trade for.
Here's the challenge of it for me. So the Hall of Fame, like the Pro Bowl, there is a lot of politic involved in that. There really is. And so it's one of those things.
Your team's got to get behind you.
Like you said, you don't grow up. You don't go, okay, I'm going to go play in the NFL and be in the Hall of Fame. It's one of those kind of icing on the cake type of moments. It's one of those things that comes way after your career is over, and so much has to go into it. Everyone who plays certainly wants to be there.
Yeah.
But I think the motivation, the deepest motivation, is definitely to go to and win a Super Bowl. I know that was just my constant focus my entire career. And it was something that was, like the Hall of Fame, I don't sit here and go, gosh, I wish I was in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
When they have the Hall of Fame inductions every year and you see some guys go in and you go, he went in the Hall of Fame.
That we played against.
Yeah, you're just
right,
it's so arbitrary.
And exactly. And there'll be other guys that I think of, like a Jumpy Gethers, that should be a Hall of Fame player that, I wonder, will he ever be respected and be shown that, because of the politics involved, and is it going to happen? So you're right, it's arbitrary, and where it's a great thing and an honorable thing, obviously, and I'd want it, but I definitely take the Super Bowl.
When we first came up with this question, I was like, I think I'd rather be in the Hall of Fame. And part of it was because that was kind of controlled by just me, whereas the Super Bowl, there's so many other factors. I mean, there's
There
a
is.
3% chance of a team getting to a Super Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really, really
Oh,
hard.
it's just the
it's really hard to
the
do.
magic of it
Everything
happening.
has to be, just perfectly aligned, and
yeah.
even when it's perfectly aligned, it gets yanked
And
away
I-
from
and
you.
I'm
You think
telling
about
you-
the Atlanta Falcons a few
Yeah.
years ago. I mean, they're winning big over
Yeah.
the New England Patriots, and everything has to fall in line perfectly in order for them to lose the game, which they
does.
did. So it's hard. It's hard when you get there. It's hard to get there. The
It's hard
whole
to win
process
it.
is extremely hard.
It is. And then you look at the Pro Bowl stuff and the Hall of Fame stuff, and I think of the Chris Carter article that we've talked about in the past, and the NFL as a system league, and do you get to the right system for you as an athlete? Do you get to the right coaching staff as you as an athlete? And the right management and the right team. Playing for San Francisco versus a gutter team, back in the 80s.
Like the Bengals.
Exactly.
But you got to 2 Super Bowls. The Bengals have. I mean, the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions haven't been to any.
But you know what? Think about it. This is my deal with the Bengals. Old Paul Brown was still in charge of the Bengals back when I was there. The old PB.
Right.
And he was the guy, and he was hands-on. He got him to that first Super Bowl, and he got him to the second Super Bowl. And they haven't been since. And I'm telling you, Paul Brown was legit, and we didn't have free agency, and he drafted you and the
Yeah.
Munozes and the Boomer Sisons. All of us were locked in there. And he was able to get him to the Super Bowl twice in the old system prior to free agency, and it was Paul Brown. But as a system league, and you're right, there's so much involved in getting in the Pro Bowl and the Hall of Fame. The Super Bowl, it was just magic. You're right. It's like everything happens right. You're on that team, and being there twice, losing the one and winning the other. Scott, that locker room, when you're on that team that's just knows they're going to win, and the locker room's just magical. It's a feeling that it's so hard to describe to people that
Wow.
You're in that locker room, and you're together, and you're brothers, and that it's happening. It's a magical thing, and it's very special to those great teams.
So I hate to admit this, but I think that I agree with you that winning a Super Bowl, I think, is something that I would rather have over the Hall of Fame.
Scott agrees with me.
Hate
Yes.
to say this. I hate to say it. All right.
Oh yeah.
This round of rivals is over. We're,
You know what? I said goodbye to you for a few months to go to Chicago. I don't want to say goodbye again.
All
Okay,
right, well,
we're off to our corners.
I'm not Jason Buck.
I'm not Scott.
We'll catch you soon.